with your, when I heard about it, I thought, hey, let me see what I could do. Okay, this won't be very long. Appreciate you being here. As you know, those of you that have witnessed my presentations, I like them to be informative, humorous, and perhaps festooned with some information that you could pick up and use. And so the title of Listening to Idiots Can Be Hazardous to Your Health is something that's really kind of near and dear to me, because we train folks. A lot of times people know what to do, or if they don't know what to do, they listen to people that are in authority, and they follow their directions of those that are in authority, especially someone that is conducting on-the-job training that may or may not do it properly, and other folks are in authority. And so I think we've seen a lot of that over the last months with the coronavirus, and I want to link that with what we witness sometimes in the workplace, and then go back to the coronavirus, and then we'll open it up for some questions or comments. My top three of people are those in authority. Peer pressure influences us. Being in the moment. And I'll explain those in a moment. Folks that have some noise in the background, if you can mute your phones, thank you. So police officers with authority, I'm going to mute everyone. You guys keep doing what you're doing. And we act on some of that. Okay. Peer pressure from an early age. If anyone has ever seen the movie Christmas Story.
Hey, I'm sorry, Stuart. This is Bill here. I think you need to go. We missed some of what you said. Could you please try to re-mute everyone else? I apologize, but it didn't work the first time. Oh, no. Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Talked about peer pressure. Again, the double dog dare from Christmas Story, and we know peer pressure in terms of personal protective equipment or in terms of taking shortcuts. Right? Peer pressure is not only from children, but as adults, we get pressure from peers, and we act on some of that. And my favorite one is being in the moment. You ever know when you're working on something, your nose is to the grindstone, the house around you could be on fire, and you won't notice it. Just like this fellow he's in the moment. He's on his phone. He doesn't realize, even though he's in a crosswalk, he doesn't realize he's about ready to get hit by a car. So these are people, those in authority we trust, peer pressure, being in the moment, and we talk about those in authority. We also talk about doctors, and I'll get to that in a moment. When we look at coronavirus outbreak, the first confirmed U.S. fatality was February 29th. With April 29th, we have near 60,000 fatalities and over 1 million cases. That is a shocking escalation of this virus. Imagine in your workplace if you had trends of customers, coworkers being injured, dying, something's going on, not to these numbers, but you can imagine that everybody is going to have an opinion one way or the other. Okay, so who do you trust? Well, do you trust your doctors? I know I trust my doctor. My doctor tells me to go on the treadmill and lose weight. I don't like doing it, but I trust her and I do it. These are 3 TV docs. Dr. Oz, this other guy, and Dr. Phil. All of them have been on television downplaying the severity of the coronavirus. Dr. Phil's not even a medical doctor. So imagine you go to your doctor and you have something you're really serious about. And they go, oh, don't worry about it, it's nothing. It's a flesh wound. You're going to be fine. Listening to these guys, you might as well listen to Dr. Mo, Dr. Larry, and Dr. Curley, because these guys will do you just as much good as these guys. But millions of people have heard these guys, and they're influenced by them. What about elected leaders? We trust what they say, right? Whether it's the president, whether it's your senator, whether it's your mayor. But we've heard some things that maybe are not as accurate or responsible, such as just stay calm, it'll go away. We heard that in the beginning of this. The virus hasn't killed anyone under 25. We've heard that from the governor of Florida. We know that's not true. And now is a great time for folks to go out since restaurants are going to be less crowded. We heard that from a California congressman. These are all influencers. These are people that say things that could change behaviors of people that are not for the best. And we can relate that to our daily lives and to our workplace. So I want you to hold my beer, which, by the way, I do have a cold beer next to me, which I'm going to drink as soon as I'm finished with this. So hold my beer, and I'll walk you through a few things, okay? We're going to have a good time. Rear Admiral Grace Murray, in 1987, said things that I think are just, resonated around the world. This was a woman that oversaw thousands of sailors. She saw people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and she coined the phrase, the most damaging phrase in the language is, she coined the phrase, we've always done it this way. Right, guys? We've always done it this way, so why do it differently? Especially if you have someone that's conducting on-the-job training with a younger person. Oh, we've always done gas checks like this. We had a great presentation by John Hansen the other day about leak checks and gas checks. So you could just smell for gas. You don't have to do that leak check, son. It's fine. And if you really want to make sure, we just light a match and go along the piping. Now, some of that still goes on. Shortcuts, influencer, okay? So I've got a quote from my good friend Paul Elaney. Paul Elaney, who is now the Director of Safety and Training with EDP. She was with Oklahoma at this time, and I think she hit it best in this quote. We have to change our thinking about how adults learn and be cautious about who we let help with on-the-job training. Years ago, my father or his father would say, hey, you go ahead and do this, and you just did it. Nowadays, people ask questions. Doing things the old way aren't always the safe way. Yet we see that all the time, right? We can't do things the way we want, and we have to be careful about who we provide from on-the-job training because we don't want bad habits to continue. I want to use Gent, West Virginia as an example of influencers and being in the moment. We all know about Gent, West Virginia several years ago. There was a propane explosion in the facility. A lot of questions were asked about that. And, I was very, very involved with the Chemical Safety Board and OSHA with this, so I got some pretty decent insight to some of the things that happened kind of in between the scenes. But everyone I spoke to said, man, I can't believe some people did some of the things that they did. Now, first of all, the man was doing a tank-to-tank transfer, right? We all know Gent, West Virginia, right? Tank-to-tank transfer, the weep hole didn't work right, had an uncontrolled release. Somebody decided that it's okay to have a junior technician do what is presumptuous, you know what I mean, the most risky operation in the propane industry. And this young man, he trusted them. Sure, I could do it. Why not? And he got a release of propane such that was totally uncontrolled. Reports that I heard was that by the time he called his supervisor, in several minutes, he was in the moment. He was freaked out. He was doing everything he could to stop that gas from escaping. Maybe he's thinking, man, I'm going to lose my job. All of those things. Okay, but he didn't do what he really should have done. We'll get to that. But what he did do, he called his supervisor, and his supervisor allegedly told him to call 911. Now, I've got this phone unmuted, so what should he have done right away? Once he saw this, what should he have done even before calling his supervisor? Hello? Maybe evacuate everyone? Get everybody out? But he's caught up in the moment. He's not trained. He doesn't know what to do. Calls the supervisor. Supervisor calls 911. He listened to his supervisor because the supervisor's a man of influence. So instead of getting everybody out of the little general store, he called 911. Okay? He's in the moment. He's listening to authority. That authority was wrong. People inside the store put up a sign, "The store closed due to gas." And folks wonder, how stupid can you be? Why are people still in the store when they smell gas? Now, friends, you might have heard me say this. Never forget the specialized knowledge that you have in your field. Never assume. I spoke to a gentleman who was the lead inspector on this, and he said to me, he saw all these guys. They saw all these professionals sitting around the tank. They didn't seem worried, so they didn't feel worried. They were influenced by the behavior of these people. 4 of them closest to the tank all died. They didn't have to. I don't want to get into that much more, but that's the issue, right? You listen to a supervisor. You listen to somebody that was in authority. The people in the store saw people that were in authority, and he was in the moment with that gas leak. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies, talking about being in the moment. I think I'm in the moment. All right. I was very happy that I saw this this picture on the web, because this is exactly what I did. I went on my ladder, do some minor electrical work, but when I got up on the ladder, I realized I didn't throw the breaker. Now, in this reenactment, this is my stand-in here. This is me just before removing the fixture. You can see how high that ladder is. This really happened to me. I'm up on the ladder. And I said to myself, Stuart, you didn't throw the breaker. But I was so in the moment of doing what I was doing, college boy, safety guy, that it was too far for me to go down about 3 or 4 rungs, walk to the distance about where that door opening is, throw the breaker, and go back up on the ladder. That would have taken about 30 seconds. Excuse me. I got an electrical shock. Could have been electrocuted. You know, my daughter could have been lost her father. Right? So it doesn't matter how smart, stupid, whatever you are. Sometimes we're in the moment. Think about some of your employees. Think about yourself. Accidents that happen. Think about when you're in the moment and you're not thinking straight. even though you know what you're doing is not maybe the right thing to do, right? Because we're human beings, being in the moment. Train, train, train. Everybody knows to throw a breaker before doing electrical work. Everybody knows to put goggles on when doing some welding. But hey, it's just a spot weld. I got to get this done. I'm in the moment. I don't put my goggles on. And then I end up walking around with a cane with a red tip on the end of it. Okay? Next slide. Oops. This is Dave. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me go back to Dave. Got a little bit of a delay here. There we go. This is Dave. Dave is a million-mile without an accident truck driver. Dave has a family. Dave's been married for 25 years. Dave's instrumental in his community, in his church. He coaches Little League. He's a good guy. Here's what you want to know about Dave on this particular day. Dave's daughter lives in Florida. Dave lives in Ohio. Dave's daughter is married. Next day.
Les autorités sanitaires ont constaté l'apparition d'une maladie grave chez un petit nombre d'enfants. Le lien avec le Covid-19 n'est pas écarté.
You guys can mute your phones.
Une nouvelle maladie. Nous pensons qu'elle est peut-être due au coronavirus. Nous n'en sommes pas sûrs parce que certains malades n'ont pas été testés.
So Dave has got to get to the airport to fly to Florida. He figured he had enough time. He had a nice flight. But, you know, he says, I got plenty of time to make that flight. What Dave didn't realize, weather got real bad. I mean, it got real bad. And you know when you're driving and weather's bad, it's probably going to take a little bit longer than you thought. And as he's driving to home, he's got to change, he's got to shower, he's got to shave, he's got to pack. Weather's getting really bad. Now Dave's getting a little nervous. Dave's starting to drive a little closer to the vehicles in front of him, and he's telling himself that he's driving too close. But he's got to get home, and he's got to make that flight. It's getting worse all the time. Dave stops at a truck stop to use the restroom, and the weather is just steaming. I mean, it is really bad. Dave could hardly see in front of him. It's getting to be nighttime. He's getting nervous. He's really close to the car in front of him, and he knows he's too close. Dave wakes up in the hospital the next day. He hit the car in front of him, but the car in front of that car stopped short and created a chain reaction. Oh, what I didn't tell you was, in the back seat of the car in front of Dave was this little guy. And while Dave was in the hospital figuring out what went wrong, he was told that that little boy was killed. Good guy, million-mile safe driver, awards, in the community, in the moment. He knew he was driving too close. He knew he was driving too close. He said it to himself, but he was in the moment having to make time, and as a result, this young man lost his life. Now, Dave served a month. He's a good guy, first time. He's on 5 years probation. Every year, Dave would go to the grave site of that little boy, and he'd lay flowers down. And one day, while Dave was kneeling in front of the headstone, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Turned around, his little boy's mother said, I forgive you. Now, friends, I've told this story. I used to be in the trucking industry. I've told this story to numerous truckers, pretty grizzled vets. Some of these guys were crying. To this day, and this was about 20 years ago I presented this, to this day, if I'm driving too close, this story is in my mind, and I back off. To this day, I think about almost getting electrocuted by not throwing the breaker. Emotional hooks. In the moment. It happens to the best of us. Most of us are lucky. Okay. Now, we can't talk about idiots without talking about the internet, because that is where idiots unite and they greet each other. Now, we know that there are no shortages of YouTube videos, but I want to show this one. If it'll let me, I may have to escape and do it that way. Come on. Oops. What happened? Come on. There we go. So this is just about a 3-minute video, but there's a point I want to make after this video. Come on. Oh, you know how stuff works? There we go. You know how stuff always works perfectly in practice. Here we go.
Okay, so I'm in Seattle, Washington, and if you don't know, November 3rd, and it's too freaking cold. And it's going to be that way for a while. I can't find my salamander heater for my shop. I don't know where it went. So I got creative. I'll show you what I came up with. Really don't want to take my eyes off it. But let me show you the area that it has to heat. This is my metal fabricating shop, sculpture shop. So it's not huge, but it gets cold. And this is what I came up with.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. Propane tank. One of those lawn garden weed torches. Couple pieces of offcut. Walmart TV fan, plastic housing. Well, this piece of 20-gauge sheet metal is acting sort of like a hot plate. The fan disperses the heat. Damn.
Okay. Just for purposes of brevity, I think you get where we're going from, right? There's a gazillion of these types of fires. What's really interesting is to look at the comment section from some of these guys. Now, this is the comments from what I just showed you, or I refer to as Idiots Unite. This guy is saying, oh no, you don't want to suck heat into a fan like that. Fan should sit beside the tank and simply blow on the flame and the hot plate. The other guy's great idea. Oh, it's not idiotic, it's just creative. This gentleman says, how about leaving it connected to the barbecue grill and light the grill in the shop? Right? These are your customers probably saying this stuff. And my favorite, take a little long to read. Love it. It's a good, quick solution, definitely. If you want to make it slightly safer, without going all out and building one hole like a safer apparatus, maybe you could put some sort of metal cage over it to ensure no one moves, anything, knocks over or falls into the flame, blah, blah, blah. So these people, now there were some that said, you're crazy, you're an idiot, you can blow yourself up. But it's usually 50-50 on these things. Now, he's just influenced these people. He's just influenced, hey, great idea. Hey, no, I do it, I'm going to do it in a different way. He's an influencer for these folks. All right, let's move on. Getting back to the coronavirus and tying this together, we keep hearing, hey, it's getting better. You can go get your hair cut now. You can do all kinds of. Getting a lot better. And a lot of folks in the medical profession are concerned that folks will start ignoring social distancing and hygiene practices and things will get worse. Kind of similar to how sometimes people view safety and training. Now, I've had contractors, I've had sales to have all these people go, oh, the safety guy. Oh, is it safe, Stuart? Ha, ha, ha. And we've heard incidents and accidents are down. Guess we don't need to invest in safety anymore, someone says with a chuckle or making a joke, hey, no hiding in the safety meeting. Oh, crap, these safety meetings, they're terrible, blah, 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 and everybody laughs and has a good time. And like anything else, pretty funny until someone gets hurt. Thank goodness I have never gone to a spouse's home and said that their spouse is not coming home. Perhaps because they listened to an idiot. Maybe someone on this call has. And maybe as you play back through your mind why someone was killed, it's maybe because they listened to someone in authority, they were in the moment, or they had some type of peer pressure. Well, you don't need that hard hat. You don't need to do that leak check. You don't need to do those things. Because I've done it that way a million times. I know you've all heard this. I'm just kind of putting it in front of you a little bit. Friends, I know it's a little depressing, so I want to share with you why we do all these things. We do these things to keep our families safe. That's my daughter and my grandkids. We do these things so we can hear children laughing in the background of our homes. I hope, it's the best sound in the world. You want to hear that. You want to see these people. The best part of my life. Probably the best part of yours, especially for those of you who got grandkids. Come on down. A little slow. So, friends, sorry about that. That concludes my presentation. This is a picture of my great-grandfather, Stuart Flatow. Came from Poland. You could reach me at sflatow@aol.com or 240-751-3985. Anything I could ever do for you, please let me know. And again, I want to send a shout-out to all the first responders. I want to send a shout-out to all of you and your employees that continue to work in really tough times, keeping customers safe and comfortable. Thank you very much for listening. Bill, I'm done. Happy to open it up. Happy to open it up for questions. Okay. No questions?
Hi, my name is Leo. I have a question. Is there a typical or an average dollar as a percentage of revenue that companies should invest in safety? Is it 1% of revenue, a certain percentage of their operating budget, a percentage of their wages? Is there any guidance you have on how much should be allocated towards safety?
That is a really brilliant question. I personally don't know. There might be some other folks on the line, but what I would do is I would either yourself or through a third party, I would start looking around and doing some job hazard analyses. Where are the hazards? Can those hazards be engineered out, which is usually more expensive? As far as training goes, think about the type of training that you want to provide, the way you want to provide it, how many employees you have. What I will say is, if you know that your company is on an X a profit margin. Say for whatever reason it's 3% profit margin, and there's an incident that costs, say, $30,000. Well, that costs your company probably you gotta make up about $300,000 just to break even on that. That's a great question. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
Yeah, I do. In working at a lot of different propane companies, typically propane companies, honestly, there isn't a one set number. It really goes from company to company as to what they put towards something along those lines. Obviously, everybody in the industry needs to invest in training. Everyone needs to invest in ongoing training, and the larger the companies are, oftentimes they will have people on staff to do that. But even then, from the regions that I've run or helped run, what I've seen is that there might be one full-time employee, safety employee, for every about 200 employees to 250. So you can take the percentages on that, but then I'll let you do that. But that's what I've seen. And when it comes to safety, I think that it is. Obviously, it's one of the most important things in our industry. So in the next presentation at 3:00, I'll be touching on some safety technology that is cost effective, and it's the latest thing out there. It won the world competition for safety sales and service combined application. You might want to take a peek at that. But there's a lot of different ways to approach it, and there's probably all sorts of different concepts on it. And I'd be happy to talk about it more offline.
All right, we got a ringer. Well, thank you, sir. I think sometimes, I mean, my own personal view is, we have to train people how to do things properly, but I think we have to remind people every day, whether they're brief safety talks, involve folks, give people an emotional hook, use the technology that you'll hear at 3:00. But I think that 1 for 200, I don't know what the right number is, but that's as good as any. Any other questions, comments? Going once? Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. And yes, remember, do listen to that 3:00, and as well, there is a 4:00 presentation as well. Thank you, folks. Stuart, signing off.
Stuart.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Everyone, thanks for coming to the Expo. There are a couple more presentations at 3, one at 4, and you can just jump on at your convenience, just like this. There's also a bunch of vendors that you can go to their Expo booths. A lot of them are offering special offers and videos and all sorts of cool things to show you what's going on in the propane world without you having to leave your offices, right? That's the idea. So in this new world of coronavirus, we're going to be offering this venue to allow us all to still get the benefits of a full-blown Expo, and we are grateful for your participation. The next presentation is going to be at 3:00, and there's 2 of them, and they're both listed right here. So Brian Aruda and Lou Nazarone and myself at 3 p.m. Look forward to talking to you and hearing from you there. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye now.